vouched for. Right, so let's take some questions. So some people had asked, right, so some people had asked, right, so how does one become a mufti? Hey, rather, how does one become a mufti? Well, this aren't long story, you know, this one. Right, so right now, look, becoming a mufti, what do I advise? First of all, this ain't for everyone. People are still going on about Billy. Come on. All right, focus. Right, so look, being a mufti, this ain't for everyone. It is a very uphill struggle. Okay. It is, however, if you are somebody who's interested in learning about the deen and having, not just learning, in having a very, an in-depth, advanced level understanding of the deen, then it is an amazing task or objective or achievement if you've done it. It is unquestionably perhaps the greatest thing I've ever achieved in my life, I feel. Right, so that's unquestionably. In addition to a few other dodgy deals, a few county court judgments, and a few convictions. I'm joking. Right, so I feel that it really it's one of the, to me as an individual, it is the most amazing thing I've ever achieved in my life. It's really made me who I am today, if I can say that. So I absolutely love it to bits. If somebody said to me, I'll give you £1 million, but they were to completely strip this mufti thing off, as in eradicate that mufti knowledge from me, and there's many things I would do quite easily for £1 million. And a lot less, evidently, from the games that we play, apparently. Billy knows about them. Okay, what's the least amount you'd do? These hypotheticals. Toba. They corrupt people, they corrupt my innocent mind, you know. So, anyway, I wouldn't, honestly, the world, I wouldn't give it up for that, because it means that much to me. It's made me who I am. It is an integral part of my essence today. So, you know, I would definitely, if somebody asked me, I'd like to become a mufti, would you advise me? I would say, look, first of all, it's not for everyone, because there's going to be a continuum of study and learning. Study doesn't have to mean like nerd-like study, like you become a nerd. It just means you have to have an interest. You have to, right, somebody said, shame on you with these acts. Yahya talk. Talk in Urdu in and of itself can be understood in a rather naughty way. Naughty. And who said anything about acts? You see, looks like brother talk. And the other guy's like, is that an imperative? Okay. He's like, no, I was just introducing myself. I was saying, Assalamu alaikum, brother. Talk. And the guy's like, talk? Kya matlab? Talk do? Anyway, so, right, so coming back to this, focus, people, focus. Right, so, the issue is that, look, there's going to be a continuum of learning. Let me put it as learning, because when you say studying, it's too dull and boring and nerdy and stuff like this, but learning. So there's going to be like a continuum, a lifelong. That the first stage will easily be anything between 6 years at least to maybe 8, something like that, between that. So there is a certain amount of commitment. You know, you have to learn the Arabic language, you have to go through the basic sciences of Islam. That will include all the, you know, whether it's going to be the language, the Arabic language and its grammar and those things, the morphology, and you'll learn that. You'll have the books, whether it's fiqh, how to practice Islam, pray, do things, go hajj, marry, divorce, inheritance, the penal justice code, everything, transactions, from a beginner's level to an intermediate to an advanced. So you're learning the rulings according to a school of thought, and then the differences of opinion, your evidences, their evidences, then arguments and in-depth learning. You're going to learn usul, which is legal theory. Why do people allegedly make the rulings they do? What does that school say? What does this school say? What are the underlying differences in principles? You're going to cover that. What are some of the universal kind, almost a bit like a constitution, a bit like that. Not a full-on constitution, but like that. Why is it different? So you're going to learn that once again from a foundation to intermediate to advanced level. You're going to learn Islamic history, creed, what are beliefs, what are people, you know, creed. It's a very theological kind of thing. The Ash'ari school, the different schools, the differences of opinion, tafsir of the Quran, going through the entire tafsir, learning that. Then usul hadith, what is the science of studying the chains of hadith, the gradations, grading hadith, the different books. You're going to cover that. Mustalah is called usul hadith or mustalah al-hadith. You will then cover the actual books of hadith, like read Bukhari, hopefully from cover to cover, Sahih Muslim cover to cover. You'll cover the main 6 books, Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, Ibn Majah. You'll cover the Muwatta of Imam Malik, maybe 1-2 other books. These kind of things, you're covering them. You're learning, you're going through all of this stuff. Adab, literature, you'll learn a bit of literature, a bit of poetry, a bit of, you know, prose, things like that. You're going through all of that, and then you can specialize in ifta, in fatwa, where you just read intricate rulings, you read about case studies, and you know what are the principles of fatwa. And so this whole thing, it is quite immersive. It's quite, it will be intense at some point. The best method to do it is obviously going to be like full-time in a madrasa, probably. You can do part-time. Some madrasas offer part-time courses. If you're slightly, you know, more matured now with age and you don't feel that, you know, obviously you can't just pack up and go and study. You could maybe do a part-time course. Even places in the UK offer things. I'm not too clued up with all the different colleges, what they're offering. I know that within Birmingham, we've got a madrasa. There's many madrasas, but we've got Hasanat College, which I think they might call it City Hasanat College, CHC, but it's in it's close to Alum Rock. It's in that part of Brum, and I know they've got a part-time course which is free. So you go part-time. There's people like Sheikh Yasin teaching there, Sheikh Amjad, you know, very, you know, good-headed kind of scholars and people, you know, with sense on them. You know, they know what they're talking about. So these are some things, and you could obviously, you'll have to mishmash. You'll have to kind of maybe study up to a certain level, then do other things. But you have to remember, and this is really important. I want to give this. No, this part is. Somebody said, "Are you joking?" No, this is true. I mean, there's many other madrasas. There is a Sufa in Brum as well, in Birmingham. You've got other places, but these are just 2 that I'm familiar with. Now, you have to remember something, and this is important, that these places of study, unfortunately, will always have an institutionalization about them. Some more than others. You know, in the world of institutionalization, some places are more institutionalized than others. as an axiom. So people won't allow you to be very free-spirited. They won't allow you to have free thought. If you question a lot of things, in some places like the City Hasanat College, to be fair, they as long as you're respectful, I think they're okay. Because some of my friends and students like Shaban, Asim, some of these guys very close to me. You see them in a lot of photos. You see me in a lot of photos with them. Now, these guys have finished their studies there. I know they engaged a lot in dialogue, had a lot of respectful debates, ain't the right word, but a dialogue during their studies, and the teachers were fine with it. You know, people like Sheikh Yasin was very calm, secure. You know, you don't feel insecure, don't feel threatened. But there are other places where people will get very upset in madrasas. You know, when you question them, they want to, you know, they'll expel you. That problem solved. So, you know, there's some madrasas where somebody, he had short back and sides, and they, you know, like as a haircut, and he was, I think, in his final year, and they expelled him. Final year, what the hell? You know, so this is the kind of nonsensical, you know, the kind of bureaucracy that you're going to have to be against, okay, if you're going through a madrasa. And it's until you haven't finished and you don't become yourself, you won't be able to speak your mind. I mean, maybe amongst friends you will, but if you speak it too much in front of people, I don't know, it might be, you know, it's hit or miss. It's maybe some places might tolerate you, other places, these institutions are not free-thinking institutions. They become very insecure usually. You know, there's a few places where people have got chucked out over silly things. You know, like they trim their beard and they just expel them. Despite this is like the 6th year going, they chucked the guy out. What the hell? You know, short back and that's a joke, and it's not even a funny one. So I think, look, these things, there is, I don't know what's being offered in depth by Sheikh Abdul Hakim Murad in Cambridge. He has a course. I don't know if he'll accept beginners, but if he will, I think his place would be awesome. Because he obviously is going to be very, you know, very kind of professional, and he's not going to really care about these kind of sectarian debates and stuff. Likewise, people like Sheikh Akram Nadwi, very, you know, very kind of compassionate in their understanding, and I'm not sure, I know he has an online course, I don't know whether he has another kind of study set up. But if you do want to become a mufti or a scholar, it is, to me, I would say it's one of the best things, if it's for you. But remember, the struggle there, you will, in addition to having to work hard or learn stuff, the best way to learn stuff is just to enjoy it. Honestly, me, I just try to enjoy it. I would actually, as boring as this is going to sound now, I would find these debates that I would read about in the book so exciting. I'd be like, whoa, Imam Malik said what? Whoa, Ozai said what? Whoa. So I would, you see, the more interesting you find it, the easier it is to remember and to commit to memory and teach it to people, talk about it. You know, like when you're with like-minded friends, you can talk about it. You can say, oh, well, you know, I read this interesting thing. What do you think about this? And that way you will commit it to memory. So I used to do a lot of that. I used to always discuss things with people. And that would help me memorize these kind of rulings and things like that. And also because I enjoyed them. So that's a... but remember, you will be against the institution. As in, there is a institutionalized, bureaucratic kind of resilience to free thought, to critical thought, that you will have to keep kind of battling against until you reach the top of the hill. So, but once you're at the top of the hill, Badshah ho Badshah, you know, it's then you wear the crown. Then you're like, you know what? Acha! Correcting me! Oh, may I say, that hadith that you quoted happens to be weak. You know when you can pull that card on people. Oof! Power, boss, power. I was on this group, right? I'm on this group, and I think I mentioned this once before, and they just tackle things like Islamophobia and stuff like this, and they've got me on there for ages. I just as a passive, I just listen to updates about things going on, how they're tackling things in the media, how they're doing all these kind of stuff. And it's good to be up to date, to know what's going on. Now, this one time they got into a little debate or something, discussion, and they said this about, and I think I mentioned this before, and I'll come back to the debate in just a moment, but there was a point where the person, he said, I've got proof for this. And I said, acha, debate. You want to debate? Acha. I said, acha, hatu burhanak. Bring your proof then. So he brings this hadith. And I said to him, by the way, where you pull rank and you say, well, just so you know that I specialize in hadith. Since you claim to have a hadith, bring the hadith. And then he posted this thing. And then I said, nah, munana. Bring the sanad. Bring the chain. And then as soon as he brought it, I said, Mawdu! Fabricated! oh! Power! Power, right? So the thing is that so it does have its perks, people. It has its perks.